Coaches across the country used the Coachpad this past season to be more efficient with their scout card prep on the weekends as well as when out on the practice field working with their scout teams. Whether you're a coach using a computer program to create cards or drawing them by hand, the Coachpad is for you. Never printing paper or stuffing a binder, clearly seeing scout cards outdoors in the bright sun, and using the coach pad on game days, syncing diagrams from the press box to the sideline were some of the features coaches enjoyed this season. This offseason, get your coach pad at thecoachpad.com to get your program ready for next season. Thecoachpad.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast. I have the defensive analyst at Liberty University, Coach Bobby Ruff. Coach, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. Just excited to talk a little shop on this. What day is it? Thursday? This fine Thursday.
Yeah, whatever day. Yeah, God, it's been a long 2 weeks. But yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on, and we talked a little about it before you came on. But how did you end up as the analyst at Liberty there?
So it's kind of a cool story. So I played football at Charleston Southern in South Carolina under Coach Chadwell, and so I'm born and raised in Charleston. Played football at West Ashley High School, and then had the opportunity to go earn a scholarship at Charleston Southern. And Charleston Southern wasn't a great program, and Coach Chadwell took over after going 0-12 a year before he comes in. They win like 11, 12 games. And then so he offered me a scholarship, and I saw something different in him. I committed basically on the spot, and played 4 years there. Had a great career. Played outside linebacker. Was not football literate. I was when it comes down to the X's and O's. When I was 19 years old, I didn't know anything. And then had a good career. Then wanted to get into the coaching world. Didn't know if it was with strength and conditioning. Didn't know if it was with football. As a coach, I didn't really know. So I was a strength intern at the Citadel under Donnell Boucher, who's well known in the strength world. And I did that for about 2 weeks. And the head coach at the Citadel, Brent Thompson, approached me. It was like, hey, have you ever thought about being a football coach? And I was like, yeah, I have. I just don't really know, what I want to do. But I did. He offered me a GA job or a quality control job, working with the safeties, and I was working with the defense coordinator Blake Harrell, who's the DC at ECU, the safeties coach who is Joel Taylor, who is now the head coach at West Georgia, and a bunch of great coaches. So I did that for a year, and then I got moved. I was 21 at the time. I turned 22, and I got my first full-time job at the Citadel, working with the tackles and tight ends in a triple option offense. And I thought I didn't know about anything about football. And then I really found out I didn't know anything about football when I started coaching on the offensive side of the ball. But it was awesome. I did that for a year and just learned so much about, even though it was the triple option, I just learned so much about just how offensive play callers think about things in their mind. And so I did that for a year. We had a great season. We ended up beating Georgia Tech. So had a great year that year. And then I got moved to the inside linebackers coach the year after. And so I did that for 2 years. And that's when I really started to really understand the game more so. I worked under a defense coordinator. His name's Tony Grantham. His brother's Todd Grantham. Got to learn a whole bunch of different things, man. Got to learn bracket coverage, all about Ripley's match, Saban's cover 7 stuff, all different types of blitzes. So I did that for 2 years, and then I got engaged, and my wife and I kind of stepped aside, and we said, when we start our life, let's try to slow down for a little bit. So I went and coached high school ball at Easley High School in South Carolina. I was the defense coordinator there, taught English. It was awesome, man. We went to the playoffs the first time in like 10 years, had a winning season for the first time in 10 years, got to be around a great group of coaches. The head coach, Jordan Dura, phenomenal dude. The defense coordinator there now, Sam Houston, just one of the smartest dudes I've ever been around. And so I did that for 2 years, and I told the head coach, I said, hey, I'm going to be here as long as you want me to. And as long as, you can keep you want to keep me. I said, but the minute that Coach Chadwell calls me, I'm probably out. And I had told Coach Chadwell before, hey, I'm going to go coach high school ball. If you have anything that comes open, just keep me in mind. And it was right before, I think it was, he got the job December 4th of last year, and he called me right around Christmas last year. He was like, hey, Bobby, I have a job. It's not coaching, it's to be the assistant director of player personnel. I said, Coach, I don't really care what it is, I'm going. I said, just know I want to be, I want to coach. So I did that for about a month, and we had a defensive analyst job. We had a guy leave to go to Florida State, and he was like, hey, you're going to work with the D line. I was like, perfect. I think I've covered just about every single basis that I can cover, other than quarterbacks, receivers, and O line. But it's been awesome, man. We had a great season. Went to the Fiesta Bowl. If you'd have told me we would have been 13-0 and playing Oregon when we first got here, I'd probably say you're on some kind of drug. But man, we had an awesome year, and I think we do a decent job with what we do, and how we play, and we try to get kids to play hard. So it's been a fun year, and looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next year.
Okay. Now, while you're sharing your screen, I'm going to let you share your screen. I mean, I want to ask you why you're doing that, just so it's an easy transition for both of us. The year coaching flexbone O-line, who was the other O-line coach there, just out of curiosity?
So Ron Boyd was his name.
Okay. Yep.
So Ron Boyd's an awesome, awesome dude. He ended up he's coaching I think he's the offensive
now, right?
Yeah, he's the offensive line coach in Georgia. I forget what the name is, but you want to talk about one of the best O-line coaches I've ever been around. I mean, he's elite. Like, talking about getting kids to play hard, like he's one of the best.
I got to connect with him during COVID, and got him on our state virtual clinic. And yes, he's just great at what he does. Like, I don't know a wing or flexbone or under center O-line coach that knows Ron Boyd that doesn't love Coach at all. Like, generally, like, they love him.
Yeah, he does such a good job of relationships too. Like, he gets kids to buy in, he gets them to play hard. He treats them tough, which, at the Citadel, 1 year to military school, and your triple option. So you're banging your face against somebody every single play. And he's been a part of some really, really successful offenses.
Okay, well, Coach, I'm gonna let you get started. Like I said, Coach is gonna talk about third down calls and some of the stuff they do, and I'll probably sprinkle in some questions as Coach goes. But like I said, I like just being able to listen to good football coaches talk football, and I can just pry questions as we go. So I'm gonna kind of let you get started, and then we'll kind of go from there, Coach.
Yeah, sounds good. So a lot of what we do, we're primarily a one high team. So the way we install things is everybody in the country says they're going to be a 4 down, 3 down, multiple defense, which, we are a variation of that. But we like to major in 4 down and 1 high. So the way we install things, we start with cover 3, rip as match, weak rotation, strong rotation, and then we build that into cover 1. So we run a bunch of 1Y, so it's safety rotating down to the tight end. And then we develop that and move on through our progression to our cover 0 pressure. So our cover 0 is just 5-man pressure with no wrap. And then we can change up the blitz paths to different calls, but the coverage is going to stay the same. The safeties, they're going to take the tight end. And then obviously one safety will be in the middle of the field. And then depending on what the blitz path is, depends on who has the back. It's usually going to be the Mike or the Will. And then we can play different things with stacks and bunches. And then there's some certain things that we get into that can get us out of it, and we can zone everything out and still run the pressure. So any R&D word for us is going to be a cover 0 pressure. There's some word association to it. There's some that's not. But the first one that we have, let me go back to this. So how the progression to it is, first, day 1 camp rules. We're just going to tell you, hey, if you're going to rotate down to the Y, and you're just going to have him wherever he goes. Well, if you get a team that runs a lot of zone cut, split zone, some boots, some like under boots with the tight end, we'll tango the Y. So we'll show a too high shell. And then wherever the Y goes to, whichever side he goes to, that safety will now take him. And the other safety goes in the middle of the field. So if
So
you
it
look at like,
essentially becomes like cover one alert, essentially.
yes,
Okay.
exactly. So if we get a team that's all right, post snap, the Y is going to the opposite side. Instead of having that down safety, you run across, and now you're getting kind of mixed up with the backer, whoever has that back, and them kind of run into each other. We'll just tango the Y, and then we'll play alert off of him post snap. So the first one, we a lot of our 4 downs is going to be an over. Now we'll change the over rules. So we'll say, hey, this week we're going to set it to the tight end. This week we're going to set it to the back. If the tight end's on the ball, we'll set it to the tight end. If the tight end's off the ball, we'll set it, to the back. So we'll change it up and we'll let the kids know week to week what the over rules are. But day one camp install, we're just going to tell the linebackers you're going to set the 3 technique to the tight end. So in RAB, the 3 technique is going to go to the tight end, and we're going to set the 3 technique with a rip Liz call. All right. So in this picture, you're going to have Liz, Liz, Liz. All right. The end is going to go to the left. The joker, the jack, the buck, whatever it is in your defense. All right. He's going to go to the right. All right. Now, the nose, okay, he's going to line up in a 2-eye away from the rip Liz call. So on the snap of the ball, the nose is going to try and cross face to the center. All right. If he gets flow away from him, he's going to stay in that A gap. If he gets flow to him, he's going to cross face. All right, as he punches through the center to the A gap. All right. The mic is going to be blitzing through the B gap. All right. So what we're doing is we're building bear. All right. I know a bunch of people talk about different variations to get to bear, but it's good for us because of our conference, a lot of quick game and a lot of same side runs. We're able to keep an off the ball backer with it as well. Now, the coverage aspect, like I said before, the star is going to man number 2. The corners are going to man number 1, and then we're going to rotate down with the safety. All right. Versus pass, the tackle or the 3 technique, he can loop late. All right. If it's run, he's just going to stay in the B gap. All right. And the will backer here knows he's an A gap to C gap player. So we're pretty much gapped out up front. All right. So here's some more coverage adjustments. Now in our defense too, if it's 3-by-1, the will is going to go to the 3-by-1 side. Usually he's the weak linebacker, but if it's 3-by-1, he's a little bit faster of a guy. If he has to carry somebody, we'll just tell him to go to the 3-by side. All right, so here's some clips of it from this year. I know Zoom sometimes is a little bit difficult with how it's. Is it choppy for you?
Let's see. A little, but I've had tremendously worse. It really just looks like slow-mo on this one. So like this isn't bad at all. This isn't
Okay.
Yeah.
So right here, all right, it's 2-by-2. You got a down tight end. All right, we're playing Bowling Green here. So we set 3 techniques to the tight end. All right, so the inside backer away from the rip Liz call is going to blitz the B gap. All right, so we've got the star, all right, who's manned up on number 2. All right, and then we have the safety down. He's manned up on the tight end. All right, so right here, he's blitzing. He's blitzing the B gap here. He's got a V-tech on the guard. All right, the nose is crossing face, and then you see the tackle realize it's pass, and he wraps late. Now, what's good about this too is if the back ends up blocking here, we just tell whoever has the back, you can just add on to the side that he's at, but you got to make sure obviously that he don't go out for a pass. So right here, you kind of see the will linebacker add on late. But I like it because it's forcing throws to the outside. It's good on base downs. It's good on 3rd downs. It's good against the run and the pass. So it's something to get a lot of mileage out of. And this is one of our top calls here. See it from the back end here. So you see that nose, he's crossing face to the A gap. All right. Backers blitzing the B gap. He's to him, so he punctures the A gap there. And then you got the tackle wrapping late, which is good because if you tell that Mike or that backer who's blitzing, you go as vertical as you can. If that guard comes down, stay in it. Now the tackle knows I can wrap tight to the open gap. And you just force a bad ball there. All right, here's another version of it. So now we got a motion here. All right. So anytime we get a motion, all right, to a nub side, all right, we're going to jump it. And now the safety who's in the middle of the field, he's going to come down and the corner's going to go to the middle of the field. You start getting some rewind stuff. All right. Those two just have to play it out as it comes. All right. So right here, we've got a little under boot. Tight end comes across. Or sorry, the back comes across here. Tight end's running the over route. But now the backer who's got the back, he pushes on through. So it's a good way to be able to play tight routes. It's a good way to be able to pressure interior gaps while you still have contain on the outside. All right, let's go to this one here. All right, now here's it for versus the run. So those first two, all right, were obviously passing situations. All right, this is 2nd and 3. All right, so this is a really good job of puncturing the gap. Now, anytime you get certain run schemes, like if you get counter, you know that your play side linebacker, he's going to puncture, all right, and you're going to skate with the backside linebacker, old enter and skate fit. Well, this is just a way to blitz into that run fit. All right, so they're running, same side zone here or duo. All right, let me go from the back end here. So this week, again, we set to the tight end, the 3 techniques to the tight end. So it's a rip call. All right, inside linebacker away from the rip Liz. He's going to blitz the B gap. All right, so boom, he's in his fit. And now the opposite linebacker, he has the back man-to-man. So now he can scrape, and it's just a blitzing into a run fit there. All right, here it is against FIU. So this week we didn't tango the Y, so we said, hey, wherever the Y goes, all right, you're just going to, number 16 here, you're just going to take him, all right, whoever this down safety is. So right here, this is a really good job by the nose, cross and face. Cross face, get into his gap, all right. Quarterback obviously doesn't pull it, but if he does, we have an edge player, all right, sitting right here waiting for the quarterback to pull it. So we have 2 edge defenders that can end up being quarterback players. We have an inside linebacker who's going to take the dive, and then the other inside linebacker's got the back man-to-man, and he can scrape over the top and get into his fit. So again, these are good, and I believe that you can teach, high school kids, college kids, whatever it is. These are easy to teach because all you're doing, in my opinion, is you're blitzing into a run fit. Right, you're blitzing into a puncture and scrape, enter and skate, whatever your terminology is. Now, where it can hurt you is if they do run counter away from it. Now you're losing an off the ball defender, you're losing a number backside, and now you're going to have to make that up with the play side backer, and you might be down a hat. All right, so right here, it's another one versus the run. All right. Let me go to the end copy here. All right, so it's a rip call. Nose going to cross face. All right, number 0 right here. He's going to V-tech on the guard. He's staying the A gap. All right, and then this backer does a really good job of scraping over the top. He's tracking the running back. Staying on the back hip. All right, making a good play. So it's a real, like I said, it's good versus the run, good versus the pass, normal downs, third downs. You get a lot of mileage of it. And it can end up being, instead of a 5-man pressure, it could end up being a 6-man pressure, and you get +1 if the back stays in. All right, I'm gonna skip this one right here. All right, so in our base rules in our overfront, if we just call like over 6 sky or overheat or anything where it's just a 4-man rush playing zone cover 3 or man match cover 3, the front will be live. So if the tight end or the back moves, we can switch the ripple is call. Well, in our 5-man pressures in our overfront, we just tell them to play it out. Well, this game, we ended up having the guy line up on the wrong side. All right. Well, then the back came back. We ended up switching the front, switching the blitz path, and somehow we get it right. So right here, it ended up being a rip call. So the backers blitzing to the left. You have the end up top here. All right. He sees his guard down. They're running counter here. So we have a box with the joker to the field. the ends chasing it down from the backside. All right. And if they were to get the ball through the guard there, we have a backer here, and then we have the post safety, which is obviously in the red zone here. All right, he can cap it off. So we got a little bit of confusion. We switch it. We make a rack left call. Really good job. All right, here's another one. This is when the back blocks. We get an ad and force a bad throw. All right, I'm going to skip to. All right, so this one's rack. So we had an interior pressure with Rab. All right, now we got an edge pressure with rack. All right, so with the way we kind of teach these guys is Rab has a B in it, so you're going to blitz the B gap. Rack has a C in it, you're going to blitz the C gap. Now with this one, away from the pressure, so it's same overcalling rules. So based off of week to week, what our overruling calls are. All right, we'll keep it consistent. Now with this one, the backside of the pressure versus pass, we're going to run a game. So the end's going to stick into the B gap. He's going to go first. All right, the tackle is going to wait until he sees pass, and then he's going to loop to contain. If it's run, he's just going to go ahead and stay in. All right, but same coverage principles with the back ends as well. All right, so right here, 3 technique is going to be set to the tight end. All right, so it's a Liz call. All right, it's going to be a rack left. So the joker now, or the fields, or sorry, the boundary end, he's going to go into the B gap. So he goes in the B gap, the backer away from the rip Liz. He blitzes off the edge. The remaining linebacker, he's tracking the back. So you have 2 variations of the same coverage, the same front, and you've got an interior pressure and you've got an edge pressure, but you still get basically the same fit, just one gap wider. And again, you're building a bare front. All right, right here. This is also good. You can get lucky at times. Calling it into a screen, knowing that you have an edge guy coming off to the back or wherever the rip is. So you have different things that you can play around with it game plan wise as well. So right here, this is a good. Let me show from the back end. So rip is to the left. All right. We're going to make a rack call away. So that backer is going off the edge. The joker is going to the B gap. Now, this is a really good job by the tackle or the 3 technique, realizing it's pass and waiting for the stunt to develop. So the end's coming in the B gap. He's going to wrap late, and now we're going to force a bad ball there. Would love to see 4 get vertical and keep pressing through and demand that double team. But again, force a foul ball. It's another one here. So we've got a rack right. He's coming in the B gap. Mike's coming off the edge. And then the remaining backers tracking the back. Here's against UTEP. Let me fast forward to here. So right here, here's the one where the back steps up. So now it just turns into a 6-man pressure, and we get hands up. So it's a good another good way to close throwing lanes and add on. So if the back blocks, you have +1. All right, and then so those are our R&D pressures, our 5-man man free. So our northeastern pressures, these are primarily 3rd down calls. All we're going to do is we're still going to play man coverage. We're going to line up now in a bare front. So the only thing that's different is we're going to put a linebacker as the middle field safety. And when I first started, learning about these, I was like, man, that's kind of bold. But then I realized the value of it. If you're calling these on, 3rd and intermediate, where you think that the ball is going to come out pretty quick and they're going to get 5 out. Well, in our rules, they know that one of the linebackers is going to have the back. So we're going to try and out leverage him and put a, faster running back on a, maybe not as fast linebacker. Well, this is good for us because we tell the will, hey, you go in the middle of the field. You're going to be the middle of the field safety. You're going to read the intentions of the quarterback. You're going to play deep. Just don't let the ball get thrown into the middle of the field. We're going to play tight coverage, all right, with the DBs. But the good thing about it is now we've got a faster guy on a running back. So I've got some clips of it where you'll see if we had a linebacker on a running back, it's probably going to be a first down. Where in retrospect, now you've got somebody who's a little bit faster. You're sending different blitz paths. You're getting five guys to the quarterback, and that ball's got to come out now. So in northeastern coverages, there'll be names like Boston, Bruins, Yankees, Mets, some type of sports team or city, all right, in the Northeast. So what we're trying to do is we're going to show 5 up. So we're going to show bare front, a split front, 2 mugs, something where we're going to try to get 5 up there, but primarily in a bare front. If the tight end and running back are on the same side, right, we don't know who, after the route distribution, who's going to be 3. So we can IO it with the star and the safety versus motion. We can bump, and then versus stacks and bunches, we can play different things to it. The good thing about it is we've got the will in the middle of the field. So if they do get us into empty or they motion empty, we can still play it. We're good to go. We've got a DB who's just now on the back who's an empty. So it's a good thing where we don't get checked out of a lot. So it's pretty beneficial for us. So the first one, we got Bruins. All right. So we're going to tell the nose, you're going to line up head up. All right. The end and the tackle, you're going to line up in a 4-eye. And then the joker, you're going to line up in a 5 or a 9 if you have an on the ball tight end. So the Mike is going to line up in a 5 away from the joker. All right. This picture has it as the will lined up at linebacker depth and then bailing out. Sometimes we just tell them, hey, just go line up in the middle of the field. We don't really care about the disguise. All right. We're just going to try and get there and play good top-down coverage. All right. So here's some clips of it. So right here we've got our will. All right, our linebacker in the middle of the middle of the field right here. All right. Now, I know it's a relative term when we talk about things that we can and can't do. If you're a high school coach, if you're at a lower level, maybe you're at a D2 or D3 NAI, whatever it is. We've got a lot of mileage of it, and our competition is also relative because we play some pretty good teams. But I think that you can get a lot of stuff out of this because now you're creating the matchups that you want all underneath here with faster bodies. And you're taking somebody who's not as fast and just saying, hey, just don't get, we're gonna play tight coverage. All right. If anything's thrown in the middle of the field, you can help us out, but we're not really worried about you making plays outside the hash. All right. So we're pumping our gaps here. All right. Nose, tackle, in. They're saying their gap. All right. Now, middle field safety, who's a linebacker, he just reads where the quarterback's going. All right. We don't teach middle field indie for linebackers. So we just tell them, hey, just look where the quarterback's going, run, try to go make plays. This is an awesome play by our linebacker here. Playing good top-down coverage, got everybody pressed up. We get a nice pick. Because what you're going to see is, and I think we've seen it, teams are going to look and say, all right, number 0 who's played linebacker for him, he's in the middle of the field. Let's go take a shot. All right, well, cool. We're going to play good man-to-man coverage underneath. We got DBs on receivers, and we've just got a middle field safety who's the linebacker just going and playing football. Now, the blitz pass is pretty simple. Just straight up, pumping your gap. Nothing too fancy about this. All right, here's another one. So this is what I was talking about too. All right, so again, you got the will in the middle of the field. All right, well now, usually if we were running R&D pressure, like we were talking about before, all right, this guy would be a linebacker, right? This guy would be a safety. Well, we switched it up because we knew, all right, hey, if a team likes to get 5 out a lot, we're going to try and put a DB, all right, on a running back and try to rob something quick. So this is a really good job of our DB taking the back out who's fast on third and 5, making an awesome play. But if it was a linebacker, not saying that our linebackers aren't athletic and fast, this guy who's making this play is a baseball player, plays center field, and is probably one of the most athletic dudes we have on our team. So we try to create matchups that work for us based off of what they're doing and taking advantage of what they're going to give us. You getting 5 out, cool. We're going to put a linebacker in the middle of the field. We're going to put a DB on a running back, and they're going to try and figure out who's the hot player, and we're going to take it out. All right, here's another one. So this was in Jack State. So this is the same exact thing. Okay, so this is still northeastern pressure. Well, you get down into the red zone. All right, there's not a lot of people that are going to play cover one, middle field closed defense on the 10-yard line. So our analyst, Teddy Gallagher, he's going to be a defensive coordinator one day in SEC. He's been coaching for like 2 years. He's a genius. We're up in the box, and he says, hey, we don't need our linebacker in the middle of the field. We're on the 10-yard line. Well, let's just go and add him to the rush. So now it's still the same blitz path. It's still the same coverage. All we just don't have is a middle field safety who's the linebacker. And now we've created a 6-man pressure and play top-down coverage. Still playing man. All right, another one here. So still the same deal, okay? Playing another team who likes to get the back out fast. Now, this is also a 12 personnel formation and 12 personnel people. You can still run this with your 11 personnel package, whether it's your nickel, peso, whatever your terminology is. You can still run the same stuff out of it, especially if it's on third down. So we got a safety right here on the back. He tries to throw it out. We got a corner on the tight end. We got the middle field safety as the linebacker. All right, we're trying to create matchups and blitz paths that help us maximize our potential to put the players in great position. And I think that's one thing that we try to always think about when we're coming up with these different blitzes and different ways to get our guys in the right spot. Is what are our guys good at? How can we put them in the best situation possible to go make a play? And where can we avoid getting hurt? Now, your middle field safety is a linebacker. If you get cross country and he doesn't know what to do and he stands flat-footed, you got to hope that your DB is better than their receiver and they're running the crossing route. You got to hope that you're a little bit better than them. So, but if there's a team that you're not getting as much of that and you're getting more outside throws and they're getting 5 out a lot, now you're creating the matchup that you want and you're still creating a 5-man pressure.
Are you seeing a lot of, I'm just going to call it pick routes because you guys play so much man? Is that kind of what? Because I'm seeing a lot of, quote unquote pick routes. You're seeing a lot of various variations of mesh, slants, the arrows. Obviously they're trying to.
We see a lot in our conference. It's funny. We're like in the G5 Big 12. Everybody kind of likes to air it out. It's a whole lot of quick game, a whole lot of mesh. We see a ton of man beaters. One, because we run a lot of man, but it's also our conference as well. We have a bunch of teams that run a bunch of man. And what we try to do is when we get mesh, we try to eliminate the amount of picks that are being set. So we'll play, we'll play man, and then we'll switch it up and we'll play Ripley's match. Or if we're really screwing up in Ripley's match, and we're still getting picked, we'll switch it up and we'll play split field safety and we'll play quarter half, or we'll play true cover 2. We don't run as much quarters. We try to primarily close the middle of the field because, like I said, our conference is more, throws outside the hash. And if you can make a quarterback outside the numbers, if you can make quarterbacks consistently throw deep and outside the numbers, we're willing to take those chances. All right, so here's in the conference championship here. Same blitz path now. Right here at the bottom, you're seeing the end go inside. All right. You don't necessarily want him to go inside because you are going to get drained out. Like, let's say, like, you're seeing a lot of teams now. I've been doing a study where this guy will motion to the flat. All right. If this quarterback sees this guy go here and this guy go inside, what's he probably thinking? All right, I'm going to scramble here. Well, now you don't have a quarterback player. So once this guy goes out to the flat, he sees the quarterback scramble out. Some of these teams, I think they're just telling him, hey, just go run. You go block this guy. And now we're just going to create a quarterback run because they have no quarterback player. So you want to, in this stuff, you really want to have hard edges. But again, it's second and 14 here. But if you do get quarterback scramble, you want to still try to keep him in the pocket. Because like I said, you're losing an off-the-ball defender and you have no quarterback player. All right, I'm going to skip to this next one. All right, so here's this is versus Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl. All right, two things. One, it's tight. It's in the red zone. We shouldn't have a DB playing 10 yards off, especially when it's third down and 7 or 8. But you can also change the way that these guys rush. You can change the lane. So we told this nose, all right, if this guy gets vertical into the B gap and ends up crossing face into the A gap, you can just work to wrap. So what this does is it shows that you've got a throwing lane with these guys both out. This quarterback's looking, all right, cool. There's no one in the B gap. I've got a clear lane to throw. This guy's obviously off, right? We can throw something in this zone. Well, when you do this and he comes inside, all right, and he wraps late, well, now you just presented an open throwing lane, closed it, and now luckily you get a hand up. So you're creating the illusion of different people changing lanes and thinking that the quarterback has a free access throw and then closing it quickly. Hopefully you get more tips. This is one thing that we've realized later on in the season is the more that we can cut the front and the more we can move people around, the more tips and batted balls that we collect, and then more of those leads into turnovers. So we led the country in interceptions this year, and I think we had I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was like 12 or 13, but I believe about 5 or 6 of those were off of batted throws. Okay. And it was all on different blitz variations where we're cutting the front and showing an open throwing lane and then closing it at the last minute. All right, so here's another one. This one's called Boston. So same front, same coverage, same everything. The only difference is now, kind of like you saw with that last clip, we're going to slant the end and the nose to the boundary or to where the tackle lines up. All right, and then we're going to wrap the tackle, all right, to the open gap, which should be the A gap, or sorry, the B gap. We're going to send the mic off the edge, Joker off the edge. All right, we're still playing the same principles in the back end. So this is actually a pretty good pressure. Like I said, to close those throwing lanes, try to get hands up, but you can also get lucky calling this into a screen. So now, like this one right here, it's 3rd and 6. We're wrapping. We teach this tackle here. If you wrap and you see offensive lineman and you realize it's passing, you're seeing the offensive lineman run up the field, stop and look where the quarterback's throwing because there's something coming behind it. So we almost took advantage of that one right here. Because usually even with our guys still haven't seen a screen, and they're rushing and they think that they're him and they're rushing up the field and I beat them, and then they're like, all right, well, they just threw a screen on me. Well, this is another good way on those screen downs once you're doing your opponent's scout to say, all right, we're going to run something along the lines of this. And if you see offensive lineman pass your face, I know something's up. I'm going to stop as I'm wrapping, and I'm going to look and see what's coming my way. So we had an opportunity to rob one right here. But again, same coverage. They're getting 5 out. We've got a DB on a running back. We're just changing the path. All right, here's another one. All right, we're going to bump this motion out. So now they're getting to a 3-by-1 nub set, right? So they're getting to a trio look. All right, nose is going to cross face. The field 4-eye. He's going to own his gap. It's a screen. We just added a guy from the backside loop and realizing it's a screen, and now he can keep on running. So we've got different ways to try and, get lucky with certain things based off of the tendencies week to week. If they're a big screen team on third and long, like this is 3rd and 11 here. He realizes it's a screen. He's going to go try and chase it down. But the coverage aspect does not change. You're just gaining an you're gaining an on the ball defender to the side of the screen. All right, here's another one. Same deal here. Now, what we obviously tell these guys as you're wrapping, if I'm the tackle or the 4-eye who's looping here, I want to try and light a match right off of the 4-eye to the field's butt. We want to tell this 4-eye, all right, and you can line them up in threes. There's been weeks where we say, hey, let's line up in a tight 3. Let's get vertical through our gaps. Let's penetrate, try to get to the quarterback. There's sometimes we'll line up in 5s, 4-eyes, depending on what the split is. But week to week, that can change as well. But it's the difference of 6 inches to a foot. So right here, we try to tell these 4-eyes, you've got to work as vertical as you can through the gap, not through the person. So pass rush, we want to rush through gaps, not through people. So he doesn't do as good of a job here, all right, but he also demands that guard come down. This tackle does a decent job of trying to scrape paint here, ends up getting collected, but you make the quarterback get off the spot and take away his first read because you're playing man coverage. So you're playing tight routes, top down. You're sending 5 guys. You're closing throwing windows, and you're cutting the front, and you're taking away the quarterback's first read. And if they're getting 5 out, you've got a guy who's faster, a DB, taking on a running back. And if he wants to throw hot, you got a better matchup. All right, and then this last one here, this is Yankees. We only ran this one time, but again, it's just for teaching purposes. It's just another way to to change the front, but get a different blitz variation. So right here, we've got a split front. All right, so we're lined up in 2 3s, 2 5s. All right, we've got the Mike, who's going to be a linebacker depth. You can mug him up. It doesn't really matter. But again, coverage aspect doesn't change. We got fast guys on their fast guys, and then we're +1 with one of our faster guys on a running back. So we're again creating a matchup where if they want to get 5 out, we're good to go. So right here, we ended up mugging up the backer. All right. This is the safety. Okay. He's got the back. All right. So what we're going to tell these guys here is you're going to puncture your gap. All right. You're going to puncture the A gap. All right. You're going to rush up the field. Now we're going to tell this end. All right. You're going to long stick all the way to the next open gap. We can say, hey, you're going to go to the B gap. You're going to go to the A gap. Well, obviously those gaps move. Once you see clear vision to the next open gap across from the center, you can try to get vertical and go take it. So again, it's just another way to try and create confusion and make offensive linemen move. Like that first one I showed you with Bruins, it's just a bare front, straight rush, very, very simple. If you want to get bigger offensive linemen moving, you can do things like this, all right? And now you're making them move to you, which then creates better opportunities. Again, so you look at the Will here, he's in the middle of the field. He's just running as fast as he can, trying to go find the ball. And he is not a blazer. He's not a 4.5, 4.6 guy. He probably runs on a good day, maybe a high 4.6, maybe, but he's probably in that 4.7 range. But it's a great position to try and get also guys who might not be as smart football wise. Like if you're a high school coach and you have a dude who's really athletic, but he cannot, read, he can't have a triangle read at all, or maybe he's a DB and he can't figure out some kind of coverage aspect, put his butt in the middle of the field and tell him to look where the quarterback's throwing and run as fast as you can, try to go make a play. So that's Yankees right there. So, and the good thing about this too is you can change who these pieces are. So let's just say you're primarily a 4-2-5 team and you're in a third down situation where you might want to take one of the D linemen off and you want to put a more athletic linebacker. You can make this guy a linebacker. This guy can be a D lineman. This guy can be a D lineman. This guy can be an outside linebacker, star, whoever. So really now you're playing with two D linemen and you're playing with more bodies that can move. So you can create different things because at the end of the day, right, and when you draw this up, all these guys are just X's on a piece of paper. So however you want to fit these X's, all right, to make up what fits your scheme and what fits your personnel, you can make this however you want, right? And you can put guys in places to maximize their potential and maximize the type of personnel that you have. If you're, like you said, if you're a high school coach, you might not get to, depend on where you're at, you might not get to pick who's on your team. So you're kind of stuck with whoever you get, and you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to change your scheme week to week. But I think those are some things that we do personally to try and create matchups that are applicable and beneficial for us. Those R&D pressures, man, they're awesome. Like you can run those on third down. You can run them on base normal downs. Like we run them a lot on second down if we're trying to if we get them behind the 6 on first down. Try to heat them up a little bit on second down, make them force a bad throw, and now we're in a position in third down where they got to convert, and it's hopefully third and 8 plus. And now we can get in some more northeastern pressures and certain things like that. But I think those are some good stuff. We have had a lot of success with them. I believe that just about most of our interceptions have come from some type of 5-man pressure, whether it's an R&D or it's some kind of northeastern.
Perfect, Coach. Seriously, now, I don't know if I really have too many questions. I asked like the main one while we were going. I wrote down some ideas and stuff I'm gonna probably try to steal, but I mean, like, and I don't need the names of everything, obviously, but it is regionally try to how you like to pack. Like, let me rephrase that. Is there? I mean, because everybody's different on how they approach setting up their blitz schemes and things. Do you like you have northeastern and that is your 5-man pressures for this? Do you package a lot of your other things the same way in terms of just overall conceptually? Again, I don't need the names, but like, is that how you try to do conceptually based off certain things?
We do. Now we, again, we're full-time coaches. They're part-time players. So we try as best as we can to have some kind of word association with what we call and how we build things. Now there's just some things that we try and try to find something that might not make as much sense, but we try to get it to as close as possible to what the pressure is going to look like. But yeah, so we try to package them in families. Like the R&D, we've got stuff like DAB, DAX, RAB, RAC, all these different things where they might not make a ton of sense, but for the back end, I know it's an R&D. It starts with an R&D, so I know that the coverage is the same. It puts a little bit of teaching, it puts a little bit of learning on the players blitz wise, but for the coverage aspect, which is obviously the most important, because you're, like I said, you're playing man with no rat. It keeps it conceptually simple for those DBs. So they just know, all right, R&D, perfect. Where's my, if I'm a safety, boom, I go play on 2. All right, backers got the back, we're good to go. Now there's some different things that we run as well where we'll try to marry up. Like we have stuff like weather. So we've got like storm and tsunami and cyclone. Those are all the same blitz pass. Like cyclone starts with a C, so it's corner. Storm starts with an S, so it's the star, right? Tsunami is cyclone, but we're just running with the safety. So there's the way we install it and the way that we try to word associate. I'd probably say about 75 to 80% of our overall calls, whether it's blitzes or just normal down calls, just base down calls, have some type of word association. So it's not as much teaching, but like I said, it gets a little bit tougher when you're trying to create a bunch of different things and try to like, oh, should we name this Raptor but that doesn't really make sense. And it's an R&D word. So we can't play that because it's a different coverage. So you kind of get in the weeds a little bit based off of what you're trying to name things.
Okay, perfect, Coach. Well, coaches, give my man a follow on the Twitter. I know Coach likes talking to coaches and throwing ideas back and learning from each other. And like I said, I think I've said off screen, but Liberty does a lot of good things. They have a very good staff over there, just as a whole. I think they do a great job at how they treat high school coaches in general, no matter what state. Like, share, subscribe, all that lovely jazz. Check out our sponsor, Coachpad. Otherwise, that's another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast.
I appreciate it, man. That's and to everybody who's listening, we're an open door, we're an open book. If you guys ever want to come up in clinic, just shoot me a DM or I'll give Nick my number and you can give it out. But like I said, we're open. We're open policy. We don't shy away from helping people. We are gonna probably have a coaches clinic. I'm not sure what the date is, but we start spring ball actually February 7th. So we started spring ball here about 20 days and we just played a game 17 days ago.
I
So
think you might have your clinic before this fully even airs, Coach. So that's a whole other thing. So yeah, but coaches, check them out. Like I said, again, they're a great staff. So everything I know about them is great, and they do a great job. And otherwise, thank you for watching.